Welcome, ladies and
Don't do that.
gentlemen.
Don't do that.
Should we start over?
No. Keep this in. We're not editing anything out. This is staying in. But when you yell, it
Okay.
cuts out.
Oh, dang it. That's right. Okay. Well, let's start over. Can we start
No,
over?
I like this. I want to keep this stuff in.
Dang it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. What number is this, Houston?
Say, I don't know. Is this like episode 13, I think?
I'm
Now,
gonna look. No, it's not. It's past 13.
well, if it is past 13, we should skip 13. Figure out which one it is, because if it's 13, we have to call it 14 because 13's unlucky.
Okay. So, uh, I think I subscribed to this. Let's see. So this is,
How
wait.
could you did you just say you think you subscribe to our
I
own
just kidding.
podcast?
I definitely subscribe to this.
Man,
And a bunch of
Sean.
random Spanish stuff that when I was trying to learn the language.
Look, everybody, did you hear that? Sean is not even subscribed to our podcast channel.
Oh, quiet you. Wait, hold on. Wait.
And now
Oh,
he's
there it
on a
is.
podcast looking at his phone.
Okay.
This is amateur hour.
This is so according to the videos, we are on podcast. Oh, they're all out of order. Uh Podcast episode number 14.
Oh, so was the last one 13?
Yeah, wait. No, this one you no, is this one's 50. Dang it. Okay, we gotta start over. We gotta
No,
start
no, no.
over.
We're keeping all of this in, Sean. No, we're not doing that. We're
Ah,
not starting over. This is the good stuff that people like to see. We're leaving this
I
in.
mean,
I'm
because
not
the
cutting
last
any of
time
this
we did
out.
it, we were messing with Zoom.
Okay,
But you didn't number that one for whatever reason.
because
But
I
that one's 14, so this is 15.
we need to talk about the last episode for just a second. What do you think about that one, in all honesty?
I don't know.
I don't know about that one, but people watching this, just leave a comment. Just leave a comment. Tell us what you thought about that last one.
Has anybody noticed that Houston is not in a shirt?
So I wasn't wearing a shirt when we started this, and I was planning on putting on a shirt, and Sean told me not to because it would be funny. Now,
Yeah. Plus, it also sort of pertains to this episode's content or theme.
I just wanted to show off my tattoo.
It looks good.
Look
I
at
like
that.
it.
It's moving. Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a little tattoo just on the tattoo show. I was trying to be funny.
That's a pretty cool, yeah, it's your shoulder muscle. That's gotta be.
Anyways,
So, yeah, we were gonna talk about salads this episode, which I think is a
no.
good food.
What happened was, first of all, we're not talking about salads. Sean,
Okay.
before the podcast, we talk on the phone for a little bit, and he started talking about salads. And I told him I thought salads were a very boring topic. And what did I make a joke about talking about salads during the
Yes, you
podcast?
did.
Okay,
That's
so it
why I
was
brought
my
it up because
joke.
I wanted to honor your joke.
So Sean, I told Sean to say this before we started the podcast because I thought it'd be funny if I got mad if he's talking about salads. But it was my fault. It was my joke. It didn't go anywhere. But anyways, what's the real topic?
So the real topic is fornicating.
We're going to talk about sex.
We're going to be talking about how it's one of the most popular behind closed doors topics in the world.
It's a very
But you can't really
taboo
talk about
thing
it.
to talk about in
Right.
society because society's uptight. They don't like seeing podcast hosters without wearing their shirts, and they don't like talking about sex. But we're going to talk
Right.
about it tonight, folks.
The way that I figure that sex happens is because every single
Don't you know by now? Didn't they teach you that in like sex ed class?
it's because every single person I ever see, the first thing I think is two people had sex to get them here.
It's funny. I used to say that to my friends. I don't know if I ever said it to you, but like when I was a kid, I'd be like, your parents had sex. And I'd say that randomly. And my friends would always get bummed out.
Stupid
Sean's
computer is popping up with messages.
okay.
It's like you don't have this computer virus protection. I'm like, shut up.
You have a PC,
I do.
don't you? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not here
What
to
do you
talk about
have?
PCs. Don't leave,
Okay,
everybody.
yeah.
We're talking about fornication.
So,
I promise.
how old were you when you first had sex, Houston?
Okay, so now the
And
first
who was it?
sexual, I was 15 when I had my first sexual experience. But as far as
What
like
was
action,
that?
uh, it was it was with these two girls up in Maine. I think I told you about it. We were staying in like a cabin out in Maine, and these girls were staying next door, and they were my age. And we didn't have, there was no, that was fooling around. But as far as
Okay.
actual real life, actual, like, the whole going in, I'm trying to be, you know, going in the old tunnel. That I was 17 when that happened, which
Okay, me too, actually. Same age. Interesting.
do you think, because at that age, a lot of my friends were starting to go the whole way before I was, and I always felt like it was late. But to be honest, I wasn't ready till I was 17. That's the truth. I fooled around and did a few things, but not go as far as going the whole way. I was 17. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but when I lost my virginity, I told the girl that I'd had sex before. Like I was like, yeah, oh, yeah, I've like a million times, and it wasn't true. And during the middle of sex, she started laughing, which is it's probably not a good thing. And she said, "Are you sure that you've done this before?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I have." But it wasn't a
Oh
great
yeah, that's
experience.
sort of ruining the first, but I guess it doesn't.
It wasn't a
You're
magical
like,
moment.
yeah,
It was just like that was it. But
it's a good. That's an. I didn't know. I don't know if I knew that story. Was it Lynn? I don't. Lynn?
no, Lynn was like when I was 19 or 20.
Okay. Hmm.
No, this was in high school. This is after you had moved to Florida. That's
So, oh, you were in Maine.
No, no. I was in Delaware, but you weren't here.
Okay.
You had moved to Florida.
Okay. Yeah, the first time, yeah, the first time I did it was somebody else's prom. I think they just wanted to,
Hold on, your
you know.
microphone's
Oh, did
breaking up.
that?
Oh, you're good now.
Sorry.
You're good now. It was breaking up for a second. What were you saying?
I think, yeah, I need to get what is
You're
your
fine. You
computer has a
sound
better
fine. You
mic.
sound fine. Just you keep going. You just repeat what you were
Okay,
saying.
so yeah, so it was another person's it was her prom, and I was a junior, and she just wanted to, you know, I think have like a prom sex experience or whatever. And that's that. It
Oh, great
wasn't
story. I just told you
also
how embarrassing my first time was, and that's your story? Come on, give us some sort of like, did anything interesting? Was it fun? Was it
okay, well
good?
there was no condoms, so we were at
Ooh,
a
that is
house party
risky.
afterwards, just like five people. I think the other guy there was gay, so that was not that much of an issue between, you know,
So you didn't have a lot of
uh
competition, is what you're saying?
Right, yeah. And
Yeah.
he and her, I think, because yeah, I was drunk, so I just kind of sat around waiting for them to go get a condom. Then they brought it. So that was planned sex. Like at some point, I don't know how long do you have to, but anyway. So uh it was I we weren't dating or anything, and I did find her extremely attractive. She was Asian, she had a tramp stamp on her, a tattoo on her back. It
Which
said
nobody
made in
gets
China.
anymore. Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
so odd.
Yeah, is that's kind of odd, right? But cool, I thought.
Yeah,
Kind of different.
yeah. Tramp stamps were like kind of in style back then. I don't think, do
Yeah.
people still get those anymore?
Well, if you're still living and you graduated around then, you still have one.
But I mean, you know what I mean.
Like new, yeah. I guess they're
What
not like as popular to get.
did now here's my thing, okay? Because we were when you're a teenage boy like we were, all you think about is when you're going to lose your virginity, right? It's a
Yeah.
big, big thing. Guys talk about it, and it's like you think it's going to be this magical, amazing thing. Was it for you the first time, or was it just like,
No, it 100% was not.
yeah, exactly? And were you let down?
No, I just thought that's that.
Right. I
Yeah,
didn't start, yeah. I, I didn't start to enjoy it until I was a little bit older. Like,
yeah, same. I was in college and Katie and I were going steady, we were going steady. So I thought, there was a little bit more because there was a relationship behind it and everything.
yeah. Uh, I feel like
Katie was from the Ukraine. So, just kind of interesting because she was,
I remember Katie and I don't know how much we should talk about, but you hooked me up with her friend, right?
yeah, Mahdi. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Well, I mean, but ultimately, I don't know. I think so. I was married for 9 years,
yeah, yeah.
and sex definitely took on a different meaning. And to me now, even though I do have, still at 37, a pretty big desire, sex drive, right? But it's not the same because I've had so much baggage with relationships
Mhm.
that I'm really, really scared of like what the sex will bring. Because no matter what, even if you say it's not going to mean anything, it still does.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, like when I started to get older, and I've always been a relationship kind of guy. Like I never liked one night stands. Like I did them when I was younger, I did, but like I'm just not into it. But they do happen sometimes. I mean, I'm still am not married. I have not been married yet. I don't have kids, and I've been in an on and off relationship for like a year. But I always found that like when I got older and I started to get into more serious relationships, the sex was better because when you
It's
really
true.
love somebody and you get to know them, it just gets better because like you know what each other what they like and what you like. And I
Yeah,
think
and
when
you care about each other, so the feeling is not just the feeling of sex, but it's also a feeling of like there's probably a little more passion.
yeah. And I think like teenage boys, like we're just wired to like just we built it up so much in our heads, and like it was it's all you think about you're going through puberty. And it's like,
Well, even throughout my 20s, I always sort of well, and even when I slipped up in the Mormon religion, because I was Mormon for a while,
you're right.
it was still like I sort of liked it to be different in some way. So
Mhm.
the time I remember right before I was married was with an older woman, like, kind of like a Mrs. Robinson type of a thing, you
Mhm.
know? And
Here's to
that was in
you, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds us something you will know. I don't know the words very well.
Heaven holds a place for those who pray, I
That's what it
think.
is. That's what I said.
But uh but that was interesting. But even then it was like I thought it was going to be a fling, and then after sex it's like the person wants to have one of the people are going to want to have more. whether
Yeah.
it's the guy or the girl, once somebody is looking for like more than just a fling.
Me personally, I'm a sensitive guy. Okay. I'm just sensitive. And I have a hard time not just having sex with someone and not like, seeing if it will go somewhere. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
There's something about like one night stands that are just, I don't know, there's a loneliness to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But how long
So
were you with her?
2 weeks. I mean, so when I
Okay.
when I was with her, I knew I was leaving the state, and she knew that. So like how far could it go was kind of my thought, how far can this go? But even still within those 2 weeks, like, there's just feelings that get involved and everything, in terms of like this should be longer and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's not just you and me though, you know, it's an entire cultural thing. I think in many ways, who is chosen is, at least in that person's eyes, is going to be, you know, is going to have to stand out in some way.
Mhm.
So in many ways, I think the guy, that's why a guy might try to, at least one reason, try to be in shape. The girl has, you know, also has like looks that sort of influence like her abilities to um be desirable. Wouldn't you
You
say
know,
that?
well, you know what I think is funny? Like all
Go
this
ahead.
men and women, like they get all dolled up. The men get all dressed up, put their nice cologne on, and you know, when they want to go out and they're trying to get laid and they do all this work and they stay fit and they finally meet someone and they have sex and it lasts for 5 minutes. All that work for five,
Yeah,
8 minutes if
exactly.
you're lucky. Isn't that
Right.
crazy? All the work goes into that, and it's all you think about, and it only lasts for 5 minutes.
Oh, exactly.
Or,
I think for
you can go
me,
longer, but I mean, most of the time, come on. Nobody knows
exactly.
what they're doing.
So from a very young age, I was extremely attracted to the woman's body. I mean, hands down, I was curious about the butt and and just from like extremely young, I think like 6 years old, I wanted to see nudity. I wanted to.
Yeah, I remember at a very young age feeling the same way, but not understanding until I hit like when I was to like 11 or 12 what it all meant. And uh I not what it all meant. I didn't really figure that out, but like I guess at that age it's when like you start to realize what it is.
I mean, you and I used to sit around watching whatever movie, but we were mostly just watching to see if there was a naked woman.
Yes, we would rent movies and we'd see and look at it and be like, "Do you think there's nudity in it?" And we'd be like, and we rent some really stupid movies, these horrible movies sometimes. And there was
Yeah, even if
one,
they were good movies, we almost didn't care that they were good.
yeah.
We were just trying to, like, Vacation, right? Like that was a
Yes,
good comedy movie, but
that I invited you over for, and I think I told you beforehand that Beverly D'Angelo, the mom, her boobs are in the movie, and that was, I think, the
right,
whole
and it
reason
is.
it is, and they're very nice. But that's the whole reason I think we watched it. And Vacation is like a great movie, and
Mhm.
there's also a lot of nudity in Animal House, and I had that on VHS. And a lot of
Yeah.
my friend, you and a lot of my friends would come over to ask it, watch it all the time, because that's
I was not so much into Animal House. I was more into, and the thing is that in Vacation, her nudity seemed to me extremely real. And
yeah,
I think that's something for me that's appealing is when, because I think Animal House, that nudity, it was like, I mean, it was just like the girls were so model-esque, like they were out of reach, and I could not actually like see a sexual experience there, you know.
Yeah, they're
But with Vacation, like yeah, that mom, you know.
yeah. So if you haven't seen Vacation, go rent it just for that part.
Yeah, just rewind it. I still vividly remember how that part goes, and I don't remember that much else of the movie. Like how Chevy Chase is like
With the
freaking
banana,
psycho, you know?
yeah, I remember that.
And then he's like, "Can I do your back?" She's like, "I've already done my back." You know, it's like
And
I how do I know
they
that whole part so
it didn't
well?
have to be in the movie either. They just put it in there because they knew like people like us would want to see it.
So we'd rewind it and then just we'd watch it and go crazy running around the room and then like rewind it, go crazy and run around the room.
Stupid stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I was allowed to watch rent whatever I wanted to as a kid. That was another thing. We've talked about that before. So like the fact that like Vacation was R-rated, I was allowed to rent it.
We were teenagers when the onset, the I mean when online was just taking off, you know, and all of a sudden when porn was like sort of innocent compared to what we all of a sudden had, you know?
Yeah, and it
Like
took forever to load it. You'd load like a picture then and it'd be like burp, burp, burp.
yeah, exactly. And it took up so much space and there were so many viruses involved with it.
Oh, it was
But
terrible.
I mean, yeah, I would destroy computers with that, you know. But
There's a meme about that's very funny that made me actually think about you one time, and it's this kid in like the late 90s on a computer, and he's like just destroying my family computer with like malware viruses from porn sites. I always thought that
yeah, I
was
mean,
it's funny. I'll show it to you sometime.
yeah, it used to be I would find downloadable programs so that even though my parents had put internet restrictions on, they didn't apply to the program, you know, and they didn't know what the program was. So, you know, it was just like a warehouse of my porn, you know.
That's what we had to do back then. We had you had to do things like that back into the early technology.
And then eventually I became very sensitive like about destroying computers. Like and that was like the big incentive was not necessarily not to see boobs or anything or sex, but my incentive was I wanted to keep my computer nice. You know,
You know what your problem was?
what was the problem?
You had a PC, didn't you? You always had a PC.
Yeah, no, but the first one that I really cut the porn out of was a MacBook. You know, it was an iMac, and it was from college, and it just had it was the big screen that they put the computer in it, and it was not very, you know, it was not very thick or whatever. It was extremely popular that Mac, that specific Mac. Now it's completely useless, you know, because Apple makes you buy the latest one or else you can't continue to update it.
But they don't
That's
get
how they'll get you.
viruses. They don't get viruses. So that's the one benefit they have. I'm on a Mac. I totally just smelled my
It,
armpit.
do you have BO? I'm just
No,
wondering.
I like the smell.
I mean, since you don't have a shirt on, you might as well be sniffing your armpit, you
Yeah, it's
know.
just I'm just gonna do the show shirtless from now on. How's that?
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, you're smelling your own pheromones. If there's nobody else in the room to smell your pheromones, you might as well smell them.
I'm getting a tattoo here. Uh,
What's it gonna be?
it's going. I don't want to say. I want it to be a surprise.
All right.
But it's
I have a tattoo. I got it I got it my first tattoo when I was 37. Is that crazy?
it's not crazy. No.
Should I show my tattoo
If you want, I've seen it, but if you want to show it,
just for the viewers? All right, let me see.
I don't want anyone to cut into the middle of this and think something weird's happening because I'm not weird.
All right, here's my tattoo.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Badass. That's badass. So yeah, I can see it perfectly. It's a
Yeah,
two
it's my
fish.
son's.
It's your son's.
Yeah.
That's cool. You gonna get another one?
I might, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it like a George Lucas thing where I'm gonna continue the same theme. So there's a story in Japan that if a koi swims upriver long enough, that they become a dragon. So I
Mm.
figure when my sons turn 13, and both of them, like, so I'll get one when the first one's 13. And then 4 years later, I'll get the other when the other one's 13. But I'd like to get dragons on my chest. So sort of to show that they've become like, that they've done their swimming upstream and they've kind of become men.
I like
And I,
that.
I would probably do it closer to 18. I want there to be a period of them knowing it. So that's why I'm gonna do it when they're early teens,
When they understand it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like that idea.
And I thought like maybe the dragons eventually maybe I could have a physical heart in the middle and the dragons could kind of blow smoke on it, sort of
Hmm.
like warming my heart. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that part. But I definitely want to do the uh the dragons, in some
Yeah.
way. Sort of like maybe like the whole thing too. You know how like The Rock has like his whole side of his chest is tattooed. That's
Yeah.
sort of I want that. I want like my, you know, like the whole pec to be tattooed or whatever.
I'm
And
going to
that's
tattoo my belly button. And it's gonna say on top of the no, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say something
the
horrible.
the belly button
No, I'm not really. I was gonna
reminds me
make
of
it
Cisco. Didn't Cisco, the guy that did the thong song, didn't he have like a belly button tattoo?
probably Cisco. Yeah, that guy wasn't a one-hit wonder.
What's he doing? I wonder
Who
what he's doing
knows? He
right
probably
now.
performs thong song in the back of like crappy nightclubs that smell all dank and the
And he's like,
smell.
"Let me see," and everybody's like, "No, you can't see it anymore. You're not famous enough."
Yeah, and all the ladies are 50 and like they're they're like, do the thong song, and they're smoking cigarettes and they're like, do the thong song, sister, do the thong song. And they're like showing their tramp stamps that are all looped over, and it's just a mess.
Yeah. It's those women when they laugh, it's like, "Oh, you definitely smoke."
Yeah.
They don't have to be smoking. All I have to do is hear them laugh
They got
or just
smoke
smell them.
face. They just got smoke face. You see a girl and she's
Yeah.
got smoke face, like she's been smoking her whole life. She's saying everything.
Sometimes when I smell somebody that smokes a lot, I'm like, it smells sort of like carrots. And I'm like, why do I smell carrots? It's not good carrots, but it's like a hint of
Well,
carrots and just
people who smoke can't smell themselves.
okay.
So they don't realize how badly they smell like cigarettes. Like when I used to smoke cigarettes, I was always told that I didn't smell that much, but most people when you're smoking, it dulls your senses, so you can't smell your own smoke.
Yeah. I remember one time after we dropped you off, my mom was like, Houston stunk. I was like, he probably just doesn't understand that he has BO yet.
Nobody told me that I stank back in the day.
Oh, that there was one car ride where it was very
Oh,
noticeable.
nobody. Well, I probably was sweaty or something.
Yeah.
That makes me
Like
mad.
the like the whole car, it was like, whoop. It happens to us all. We all stink. We all stink. If we don't shower, we stink. If we're adults. If we're kids, we don't. I mean, if we don't have to shower, we still don't stink.
I never had bad BO. I just like even today I don't have bad BO.
Pretty nice. Pretty lucky. So yeah,
I
but
don't have BO.
But yeah, what else can we talk about the boogie boogie?
The boogie boogie. I don't. There's a story I'd like to tell, but I'm not going to. There's a lot of stories like that are uh I just can't talk about because they're
Let's talk
gross.
about the experience with Jackie and Leslie.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Not too much detail, but just a little bit.
All right, so you want me to start or you want to start? Because I don't even know if you remember it. Sean and I were talking on the phone and he like doesn't remember a lot of stuff, apparently. But
It's amnesia.
it's
It's
amnesia.
blissful.
It's uh no, so Sean and I, we were counselors in training at a summer camp. And there were these girls there that they invited us to their house in Westchester in Exton.
Yeah.
And
Well, we had already sort of been like at the camp. We had been sort of testing the
we've been
boundaries and
we've
stuff.
been we were kissing and making out with him, right? At camp, like we were
Yeah.
kind of
I remember
dating.
Jackie showed me her boobs at the camp.
Yeah, and then
And Jackie's I would say hands down Jackie's strong point was her boobs. They were humongous, yeah.
Leslie's drawing point was, I don't know, but she was
She
I
was just
knew
kind of pretty.
she was
Like
kind of
Leslie
pretty.
was redhead. She was, she was just pretty. That's what I would say.
I had a thing for redheads back then. But yeah, she and they invited us both of them on a double date to their house in Westchester. And I
Yeah,
remember we were hanging out in their basement. I remember beforehand their dad, had like a mustache. He looked like a mustache dad. He was
yeah.
like, he came down and he said,
It was
now
Leslie's. It was Leslie's house. Yeah,
it was Leslie's house. It was Leslie's dad. I'm sorry. And he was like, now don't you, what did he said something to us like no, no touching down in the basement or something.
okay, yeah.
I don't know what he said, but he basically told us, like, hey, he was pretty lenient with us. Because I remember in
Yeah,
high
it
school,
seemed like Leslie's parents didn't really care
they
that
didn't really
much.
care. And I remember in high school, I was always terrified of my girlfriend's dads. Like they just scared the shit out of me. But he didn't. And we just were in the basement, just kind of fooling around with, right? Like you were fooling around with Jackie.
Yeah,
I
we
was
went
fun.
to at that point we went to third base.
Yes. So we'll just say that third base.
I think that's third base.
And I
And
was,
probably second and
yeah.
first. Well,
And like
second.
Leslie had this little brother who was very creepy. And he was
This
like,
is the best part. Best part of the story is this part.
so Leslie had this little brother. He was really creepy. He was like redhead with like freckles and like he was very like protective of Leslie. And he knew I was like her boyfriend and was like there to do something bad with Leslie. And he was kind of like we'd be downstairs and like we were pretending to watch a movie and then like we'd go back upstairs and he'd be looking at me like and he was creeping me out. And I remember Leslie and I had, we went to third base with each other and we went back upstairs and we were sitting and having lunch afterwards, remember? And
Mhm.
Leslie's mom was like, "What were you guys doing down there?" And her little brother was like, "They were doing bad things
No,
with
no,
each
no.
other." What did
We
he
said
say?
just watching a movie, and he said they were doing something else down there.
Something
Right?
like that. And it
Yeah, because
totally,
she asked us, what were you guys doing? We were just like, oh, we were just watching a movie. And he said, I think they were doing something else down there. Yeah.
yeah. And I remember everyone's face just went,
You
and
know.
I wanted to, I just wanted to strangle
You
him.
could cut the tension with a knife at that point.
Yeah, and then I remember we went out and Leslie like bought me a t-shirt and I thought that was really nice. Uh
And Houston is a ladies' man, and I knew that from that moment.
that's
We
not
actually
true.
were talking about another time where we were at a beach and we ended up talking to three girls. They did take us back into their house, and the kind of the leader of them chose Houston and just grinded on, like dance grinded on him with,
Yeah.
I mean, she had her clothes on, but like, her sweatpants and everything. And I was just sitting there like,
Like when are we
it's like,
leaving
dang
kind of
it.
thing. Yeah, but like nothing
Yeah.
then what happened
I'm
was
like ruling out things. I'm like, it's probably the fact that he has dark hair and that he's tan. And I think also too, even in those situations where I sort of forget how to be funny, you don't. It's like it's like your funniness just kind of comes to light. It's like, boom, I'm even funnier. I don't know
That's
if
my
that just
only
cut
like
out my
skill
voice.
set. But like, so this girl was all over me, and we said something, you or I said something stupid, and they kicked us
Probably
out of the
me because I was
house.
jealous.
Probably. And then I
I,
didn't end up hooking up with that girl, but um I don't know, I was always somewhat decent looking, but I was weird. So a lot of times like my weirdness would kind of keep me from getting like, you know what I mean? Like
I think the sorority girl was not necessarily the ones that were going to be into you, but I think, many girls that are beautiful but artsy. I think there has to be a level of artsy for them to appreciate you.
they have to be a little bit weird. I gotta say,
Yeah.
most of the girls I've dated have, just they have to be somewhat strange.
You have, I think dark hair, tan skin, just like, some
Well, thank you.
symmetry, symmetrical. Like I think just well, your mom was a model, right? So I think you inherited.
For her like 2 weeks. She says she was a model, but that was for like 2 weeks or something. Like she didn't
Oh
have a
no way, I didn't.
career as a model,
This
but
never this never
she
has been said.
modeled. Yeah. I
Hmm.
don't know how long she was a model for, but
Yeah, it's interesting. I got divorced last year, and I've gotten back in shape, but I do nothing with it. I mean, ultimately at this age, it almost doesn't matter. I guess it does matter, or I don't know, but like in reality, I look pretty good. I mean,
well,
I take care of myself. I think if I just put myself
I
out there.
I think you're just getting out of a very long, very serious relationship. And I think you need time, is what I think it is. And then I think
Yeah, but
eventually you're going to want to go
when
back
is
out
too
there.
much time?
There's no such thing. I mean, how long has it been? I mean,
Well,
it
like
hasn't been,
if I'm like single for 10 years, would I have wasted everything?
I don't think you will be. I don't think you will be.
Yeah, I
You're
don't
not
know.
even, it's not even close to being that long. It's still fresh.
It is true. It's still maybe it's so fresh. Like
Exactly.
I have trouble thinking of like being with someone, like
Exactly. It's probably the
I
last thing in the
just
world you want to do right now.
exactly, I avoid it like the plague. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean,
in due time, I think one day you're gonna wake up and be like, okay, I'm ready.
I think if I was to find a girl, I think it would be because she found interest and she pursued it. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily go out and like work for it.
Mhm.
Because that's sort of what I felt like was happening in my late teenage years and and throughout my 20s, is that it took a lot of work, and I don't necessarily want to do that.
And to be honest with you, girls have always come up to me, a lot of them.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah.
never had to like I never went on a lot of first dates. I only went on a few because like most of the women I dated were people that I was friends with first. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I always thought it was better that way, but like
Well,
it's probably going to be weird for you to go on a first date in a long time.
right.
It's going to be
I'll be
weird.
like, what do we talk about?
Exactly. You've been out of the game for such a long time because you've been married. You know what I mean?
There is a bar that's down the street from my work that
Hmm.
does open night for stand-up comedians. And I have never done that, but I was thinking about trying to do an open mic. Like I'd have to write down material and everything, figure out it, but
I think you should do it. I've been thinking about doing that for years, but I think you should do it. Just do it. Just
well,
even if it
anyway,
sucks, just do it. And then
let's do it.
keep doing it. Why not? It'd be a cool hobby. You'll meet people. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
I think
So
you'd
my
be good
landlord
at
did
it.
just get the landlord has arrived, so I think let's call it. But
We've been going for
ladies
a
and
long
gentlemen,
time.
podcast episode 15. Take this in, mull over it. Think of the deepness of the universe, of the northern lights. Think of the deepness of Houston not having a shirt on in this podcast. Until next time, until episode 16.